Hi, welcome back to Saturday Sampler, October. We're doing the star border block, and I'm ready to walk you through the steps to piecing the block now that you've cut all the fabric. Okay, so the first thing that we're doing is the square in the square. At the beginning of your pattern, there's some information that talks about how to piece square in a square. So you can certainly get that out and it will walk you through the steps of how to do that. But I'm going to do that with you also. And also my little kitty, he's not actually that little, but he's very cute and he's my quilt helper tonight. And he's been very patient while I've been prepping all of this for you. He actually hasn't been that patient, but he's a good boy and he helps me quilt. So Bingley is here, or we call him Mr. B or Mr. Big, whatever you want to do, but he's a sweet boy. Okay, so Mr. B and I are going to help you piece tonight. So the first is square in a square. So you have to get your squares, which are fabric, oh gosh, I think it's fabric 4. Well, maybe I'm wrong about that. It's, yeah, it is fabric 4. Okay, so there you go. So it's your 3 3/8 inch squares, and those are going to be your centers. And you're going to take your fabric 2s, which are all your triangles, and they're going to be around the outside. So what you have to do is measure the center, and I just take these squares and fold them in quarters and press them so that you have a good fold all the way around. And I wouldn't finger press it, I use my iron, so that you have a fold all the way around. And then you're going to take your triangles that you're adding to the outside, okay, and they went somewhere, so I'll get another pair. And then the first 2, I'm just going to fold them in half and get your iron and press them so that you have a good fold. And I'm going to match that fold with the fold on my square, right sides together, and I'm going to sew on each side, okay? So on each side, I'm going to match those, and those are going to be added to my square. So you can see that they're oversized, so you're going to need to cut that down. So you're going to just measure that off, and then cut those points off on each side, so you have those cut off. So now, sometimes, even though you've pressed this, when you press that out, you're going to be pressing out to the triangle you added. You might have destroyed that little crease that you pressed in, so you may have to repress it. So I just match up those 2 seams there to refine that center and then recreate that crease so that I have a new fold on each side. And then I get my next 2 triangles that are creased, match up those creases there. You can stick a little pin in there if that helps you. And then you should have that centered and have your 1/4 inches coming off of each side there, and then sew on each side, okay? And when you're finished sewing, your square should look like this. Now, when you finish, of course, you do need to square this up to 4 1/2 inches, okay? How do you do that? Well, it's easiest if you have a little square up ruler, some square. It doesn't have to be 4 1/2 inches. It can be any size. But what's half of 4 1/2? Of course, 2 1/4. So we put this square, we measure 2 1/4 right in the middle. So there's my 2 1/4 inch mark. I'm going to have a sitting square here. And then I want to make sure that I have a 1/4 inch all the way around, meaning I have a 1/4 inch seam around when I cut, okay? So if you aren't comfortable with that, or you don't have a square ruler, you can have your regular ruler that you're cutting with, and you can just find your 2 1/4 inch here, and there's my 2 1/4 inch and 2 1/4 inch, and I can cut a seam there. I can turn it around. I can cut 2 1/4 inch in there and go on all 4 sides, and that works just as well, okay? Just make sure that you're staying square. Okay, so anyways, you have to get this to 4 1/2 inches, and hopefully you're sitting square as you square it up. Okay, so there's your square in a square. Now, you need to do this 12 times. All right, so do 1 first to make sure you feel comfortable with getting there. I always like to do one first. Say, okay, I'm good with this. And then do your other 11. Take 11, run this through all one side 11 times. Turn it, seam it through another 11. Press those out. Cut it off, and then do it for your last two sides. Okay, after you feeling comfortable. So now we have our centers for all 12, and that's the center of our star. So the next step is flying geese. All right, you should be really, really, really good at this now. You can do this almost with your eyes closed, but don't do that. Okay, so we have flying geese, the base of 2 different colorways. All right, right, Bing? Okay, we'll get him out of the way. I think he's tired of me. Okay, so Bing Lee is gone. And for the bottom of one base is going to be, let's see here, fabric 12 to both sides. Let's see. I got to read this here again. Okay, make 3 sets of fabric 3 and 12 with 12 of the base. So you have 3 5.5-inch squares. You use all of those, and your fabric 3, which is your 3 1/8-inch squares of fabric 3. You had 2 different sizes you cut, and then your base of 14, which is your 3 5.5-inch squares with your 3 1/8-inch. So you use all those up, and you make your flying geese. I just made a couple so that you see what they look like. And then on the sides of those, both sides of the squares, you add your corresponding 3 1/4-inch squares that you cut, and you add them to both sides. I didn't add them, I just wanted to show them to you loose. So there's my flying geese set here, and my flying geese set here with your 12 and 14. Ready to go, okay? And the last thing you do is make half square triangles. So you use the 3 1/4-inch squares, and you make a total of 48 half square triangles. Square all to 2.5 inches, which we know we always do. Use 12 fabrics of 3 and 10, okay, for half square triangle A. Excuse me. And use 12 fabrics of 3 and 5. And they're going to use 24 of each. So I've done that with a couple. These are what they look like. And then when you're done with those, you make unit 1 and 2. And you have to watch the directions. So unit 1 has fabric A on this side and B. And then unit 2 has fabric B on this side and fabric A. Okay, because they're going to be in opposite directions sitting on your star. Okay, so I haven't squared this one up. I wanted to show you it. But pretending it is, this is going to be the center of your star. And then on the top of your star is going to be your flying geese. Is that right? With your other side. Where's my star? Yes. Okay. And then on the bottom is here. I'm looking at it upside down. Right here.
Looks good from my angle.
With the other piece. Okay, and then the interesting thing about this, and the reason that we made these units, and I'm not sure which side it goes onto, but the pattern will tell you, is because these go into our pieced seams. Okay, so actually this is kind of turned around because this is going to be going into your border piece. So one is going one way and one is going the other way. Okay, so you can see that it's going to match our piece border color. So you're going to watch the direction.
These are important to segregate, right?
It may go this way or that way. I'll have to look and see. You have to pay attention to which way they go.
Because the blues are similar. Okay.
So you'll watch the blues, because one goes on one side and one the other, and these colors. So the color direction matters, and it will show you on the pattern which side the blue goes on and which way the color goes, because your border has one blue on the inside and a different blue on the outside, and the green and the rust. So it does matter where these sit, and the pattern will show you where they're sitting. And you have to pay close attention to that, because if you don't, they're going to not match your border. Okay, we want them to match so that it's going to flow through your pattern. All right, and when you're piecing these, you do have to match this point with this point. So you have to pin precisely when you match those so that they match. So that's the thing that you have to pay attention to on your star. So that's it for now, and we'll see you later. Thanks.